right. Hello, everyone. Welcome in to everyone who is waiting or just popping in right now. Hello. Today we are going to be talking about a comic composition. So last week we talked about just regular composition, which is, you gotta know that baseline. Let me fix my audio actually for a second. It might be a little bit too loud. So, in general, you have a lot of things that you want to worry about when you get to composition, but when you draw comics, there's a few other nuances. Hi, hello, Bubbly Butterfly, and NickBoy67 and Emmanuel EXC. Welcome in. Welcome to the stream. So, regular composition, there's always a lot of stuff that you need to think about, but with comic composition, there's a couple extra factors that you need to think about. So that's what I'm going to be going over today, especially when it goes over because there's actually a little bit of extra cinematics that need to go on when it comes to comic composition. But getting ahead of myself, if you didn't know, our growing community is filled with tons of art nerds, and we art nerds have to stick together. So if you're an art nerd too, be sure to check the links out to our social media in the description below, and check our website for our class offerings, because we're not just a YouTube channel, we are an art school too. So if you'd like to support us so we can keep making free content, consider supporting us on Patreon, where you can get access to tons of perks like my working files, critique sessions, and a huge discount on our classes that have a limited amount of spots. So be sure to check those out before they are gone. All right. And hello, everyone. Okay, so comic composition. Like with most of the streams, I'm going to start off by just kind of writing a bunch of stuff. And again, this JPEG will be available on our Discord for you to download after the stream. So there's a couple extra things when it comes to comic composition compared to normal composition, right? So number one, so you need to keep your speech bubbles in mind. Right? Because you're going to have, not only just the illustration, but you got to put speech bubbles somewhere most of the time, right? So you're going to want to make sure you leave room. Leave room for them to be placed. To be placed. Plan ahead. Right, so you need to plan ahead, make sure that you know where those speech bubbles are going to go, and you need to leave room for them to be placed later on, right? Hello, Duder, welcome in. And welcome in everyone else. Glad you're all popping in. And then the second thing that you need to keep in mind, right, is to need to make sure your action is kept super clear. Right? You need to make sure that what is happening in the scene needs to be kept super clear. Like with compositions and just illustrations, right? You can kind of mess around with it. Hello, Peprick, welcome in. And with compositions, you can kind of just mess around a lot, right? Like sometimes compositions don't make sense at all when you have just regular illustrations, right? But with comics, one of the big things that you need to keep in mind with comics, you need to keep in mind the principle of show not tell. Whoops, that's not where the apostrophe goes. Don't tell. Right? Definitely have the most trouble with fitting everything into my panels. Less is more as well when it comes to fitting stuff into panels. So try to make sure that you're honing in on the main action, right? Kind of let the background fall into place, right? And also plan ahead for what are going to be inside your panels. So I'll talk a bit about what to put in your panels in a second. But you need to make sure your action is kept super clear. The principle of show don't tell is very, very strong, right? Especially if you have an action comic, right? You're not going to say, I'm going to punch you now, and I'm going to kick you now, and oh, here comes my ultra attack, right? I mean, that's very anime-esque. But most of the time, you kind of just want to show them doing the action, right? It makes more sense if you do that. Sometimes artists like to find making room for backgrounds in my comic panels really difficult. I'll talk about that too. When it comes to... Oh my god, I lost my train of thought. No! Anyway. Sometimes more advanced comic artists will actually choreograph their entire action scenes before they illustrate them. So it makes them easier to draw them as an action scene. So I know that some manga artists, the artist for One Punch Man does that, so he likes to choreograph his action scenes before actually illustrating them. And his action scenes are so jam-packed and so, like, intriguing and fun. I love his work so much. I believe it's Yusuke Murata. So, he's like a master. Fantastic work on him. But yeah, some people like to do that. Hello! New individual who has popped in. Fuhio. I hope I pronounced that right. There's another thing that, again, kind of goes along with cinematics, I believe. Right? Yes, it's called the 180 rule. Alright, I keep forgetting the name of it, so I had to look it up. The 180 rule. Right? So, you need to make sure you're keeping all directions consistent. Right? I need this help. Yes, hello, Kathy. Welcome in. I'm good. I'm glad. So we can all learn a bit about comic stuff. So you got to keep all directions consistent. Right? So if you have one panel here, if you have two characters, say if you have one character, this is going to be a beautiful illustration of a character. Yes. Wait. Hang on, let me fix that leg. There we go. Say if you have one character and they're going into a door, right? There's a door, it's opened here. Yeah, and they're going this way into the door. Right? The next panel is not going to be that person going through the door and going out this direction. Right? That makes no sense. Right? If you're doing this panel, you need to make sure... Let me just copy this over. That if they go in that way, they also exit out that way. Right? The 180 rule. You need to make sure that all of your directions are kept consistent, right? They should all be kind of facing the same way, going the same direction, right? It makes the action a lot clearer, right? Make sure that your action is kept super, super clear. So you need to make sure that your action is kept super clear when it comes to comics, right? Or else it can get kind of confusing. Super artsy people like to mess around with that. It's like, could you do that? Technically, but it's kind of hard to get right. So yeah. Hello, Wolf Luna. If it's not a nuisance, how would they draw a gamer raptor? A raptor gamer. We're talking about a bit about comic composition right now, so if I do end up having to draw a raptor at some point, I'll do that. But yeah, so that's pretty much the things that you want to keep in mind. Those are the main two things. So let me make this a little bit larger now. Height, let's make it... I'm gonna need a lot of space. 10,000 pixels. Oh boy, it's gonna be large. Let's make some boxes. We're gonna talk a bit about... And welcome in, Wolf Luna. Sorry, I already said that, but I'm gonna say it again. Oops. It never stays as the rectangle, I've realized. It's like, if it's a rectangle once, then it'll like... Just organizing my boxes for a second so we can get into this next part nice and easy. Because how many different things was I going to talk about? A lot of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 7. That's not too bad. It won't take very long, hopefully. While I'm doing this, let's talk a bit about my history with comics. To be honest, I can't draw comics. Oh, that's what that does? Didn't know that. To be honest, I can't draw comics even if my life needed to live. Trust me, comics take a while to get used to. On the topic, I've been... Oops. Hello? Why is this? Yeah. There we go. It took me a while to kind of get used to comics. I've been illustrating comics since I was a kid, but, you know, it takes a while to actually get good at comics, I suppose. I still think I have a lot to learn, but I certainly know more than when I was, you know... I certainly know more compared to, like, you know, when I was, like, 8 or whatever. Did I need more space than this? No, I can just move this around a little bit more. Oops, that's right. MediBang does that. Sorry, this is taking a lot longer than I thought it would. Because I am a big stickler for organization when it comes to my canvases. Oops. We're all learning. We're all learning. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about cinematics. Now, cinematics... Trade for years, not gonna happen. Don't worry. If you want to practice it, you practice. You get good over time. Cinematics are used for any form of visual storytelling. Whether that's comics, video games, animations, movies, any sort of visual storytelling where you can see what's happening in front of you, that's what cinematics are used for. Right, your cinematics are used for any form of visual storytelling, right? So those are your shot types, right? You'll hear them most when it comes to camera work, right? So that, my dad's a photographer. I say that like every stream. But that comes to videography, it comes to photography, all stuff like that. I always wanted to write a webcomic. That's not going to happen. I'm currently writing mine. Took me a year to... Oh, I wrote it for a year, and then when I finished the first chapter, I was like, man, I want to fix a lot, so I'm currently rewriting it, hoping to release it in a couple weeks. But, you know, it takes a while. Long time. Usually it's just, you gotta get to it. Jump right into it. Don't think. Don't think, just do it. Right? Okay, so cinematics are used for any form of visual storytelling, right? So those are your different shot types. So I have them off to the side because I always forget them. So the first one is your establishing shot. Establishing shot. Alright, so if I drew... I know, Jessie, I read it. Of your comic, thank you. It's currently being rewritten, so... Okay. 4 years. Webcomic's awesome. Thank you. Okay, so you're establishing shots. Alright, so if I kind of drew What do I want? You know, I'm just gonna go with what I always default to. So some mountains. Triangles and mountains, and there's like trees or whatever. Let's say there's a house right here that we're trying to show off, right? Let's pretend that this is a beautiful house. Right, we got some trees in the foreground or whatever. If any of you decided to start a webcomic, I'm here to support you all. Yes, Doodoo. We love that positivity. I am here to support you all too. Hi, sorry for being late. Ah, you're not late. We just started. Welcome in. Welcome in, Gabrielle. We're just talking about different shot types. So we talked a bit about what's important when it comes to composition, so keeping your speech bubbles in mind, and you need to make sure your action is kept super clear. And now we're just talking about our cinematics. It's, yeah, it's always a replay. There's always the replay. This will be up afterwards. And then afterwards, at some point, we'll make this into a highlight video, too. Okay. Yeah, so there's the house here. You might put the speech bubble here or something, right? So it would either be like up here, right? Leaving that empty space to make sure we leave room for it. It's all about prioritizing what you want to be shown and what you don't, right? So you're establishing shots. Full view of a setting. Usually used. Let's move this to the center. Usually, used to show a change in setting or the setting itself. Hello, Suzami. Welcome in. Right, so your establishing shots are a full view of a setting, and they're usually used to show a change in setting or settings in general, right? So say if you're going from their character's like, okay, we're taking a road trip now, and everyone's like, yeah, let's go, right? The next shot may be an establishing shot of a car driving through the forest, or a car parked on the side of a highway or something, right? And shows the entire area that they're in now, right? So your establishing shots are meant to show kind of going between certain places, right? You know, in movies, when you have establishing shots, the characters go from one place and then they show like the mountainside or like a town or whatever, right? And then they show an image of the character walking, something like that, right? Hello, Atika Shafiq. I hope I pronounced that right. Hello. I love how in these streams Jessie actually interacts with people in the chat. I like to talk. Talking with people keeps me energized. I've been a little distracted this morning, so it's nice. It gets me going. Oh, did I write that all in the whoopsies? Let's move that layer then. That should go here. Wonderful. Okay, so that's your establishing shot. Next shot that we're talking about is the long shot. I have to always go back. I have them planned out on a spreadsheet. Long shot. My voice is so nice. Thank you. You're a lifesaver. I'm literally like finishing the first chapter. It's not that good in terms of composition. So the second chapter, I'm positive that'll be much better. Excellent. Wonderful. Don't worry. My very first comic I wrote when I was, oh no, I was 8, I think. If you want to know how bad I was at first, the very first line of that comic was, this girl was left when she was a couple months old, she was left by her family in a land of monsters, and 70 years later, she's 8 years old. So, think about that for a second, let that sink in, and then feel 20 times better about your work. Alright, so long shots. 6-minute drawing is Picasso, it's my doodle. Your long shots are going to be head to toe of a person. Right? Yeah, that's what it is. If you hear my clacking of a keyboard, I just got a new keyboard, and it feels epic, guys. Yeah, so a long shot Do you have a webcomic? Do tell the class. Say we got 2 people kind of standing around, right? I told myself I wouldn't do this, but here we are. Jessie was meant to write fantasy. I like my fantasy horror kind of feelings, you know. I really want to write a tragedy one day. I love drama. I'd really want to write a tragedy one day. I find that I'm bad at it, but I have this plot that I really want to write, and I'm like, maybe one day I'll do it. But it'll be more artistic compared to everything else I've done. Tragedy and post-apocalypse. Those are 2 that I wanna get good at. So let's say that we got our people here, right? But you notice how you can see them head to toe. They're on a street. Yeah, and there's buildings. Yeah. Say there's somebody in the foreground here just kind of walking away. Kind of frame the composition a little bit. And there's a fire hydrant. Or something, you know. There's the door. The sign is up here. More doors. And then the speech bubbles would probably be back here or something. How do you draw from so far away? If you zoom in too much, you're gonna be too focused on details. When it's your sketch, don't zoom in. It makes it so much faster if you don't. Trust me. Are you gonna do the mermaid challenge? Absolutely. Are you kidding me? I love mermaid. So your long shot is when you see the characters from head to toe. I'll post tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. I'll post the first chapter. Yay! Oh, this is great. I was actually thinking about joining Wing Canvas last week. Yay! Hello, FBI. I'm glad the FBI watches our channel. Fantastic. You see characters from head to toe. You see character full bodies. Right, so a long shot are when you see character full bodies. Alright, so from head to toe. Long shots are usually oh, I gotta leave. Oh, okay. Thanks for joining. Yeah. I think it would be funny to have a post-apocalyptic story, but like the magical fairy sparkle world of something took over the earth instead of zombies. It'd be like Sparkle-mageddon. I end up being your student. Oh? Join one of my classes. All my students are chaotic. I was supposed to post first chapter at March 1st, but I couldn't draw for 2 days because left hand is hurting so bad. Well, let your hand rest. It's good to let it rest. And hello, Omega. Welcome in. Bubbly Butterfly. What I really want to do, my students that have had me in the past, wait, actually, long shots are meant to show, meant to show characters in a setting. Right? So it's kind of meant to establish where the character is. So if this is meant to establish just the setting, this is meant to show where the characters are and give them a sense of, oh, what did I just do? There we go. Meant to give them a sense of where they are in the composition. Hey, chaotic? Nice. Yeah, pretty much. I took the cartoon anime 3 class. It's great. Everyone's so nice. Yay! Oh, that's right. I forgot. Hello, yes. Bubbly I just realized who Bubbly Butterfly is. Yes, Bubbly Butterfly is part of my Saturday class. That one's... I love my Saturday class. I love all my classes. I love my Saturday classes too. Wakes me up. I'm gonna take one of those or illustration. Yeah. Yeah, my cartooning anime 3. It's just my the difference between them is that my cartooning and anime, if you want to check out more about that, feel free to check out the link to our website in the description below. Anyway, but the difference is my cartooning anime class tends to be fairly like, you know, chill. But my mentorship, which is what I teach with the slightly older people, is like, you know, it's very, very it's much more like the live streams where it starts off as a concept and then it goes into the actual illustration, but instead I give you assignments and then I give really extensive feedback. So cool, might be classic. Excited for the mermaid lesson tomorrow. Yes, that's right. No, we're doing mermaid the week after. Tomorrow is finishing up our plant rooms. Mermaid is next week. Long shot. Okay, medium shot. Before I go on too much of a tangent about classes. Medium shots. So medium shot, right? Let's say that I'm drawing. This is a really common one that everybody knows. Who might be classmates then? Yes. If you do end up joining my Saturday cartooning anime, let me know who you are. So let's say that we're drawing somebody. That's not how you draw a mouth. This is more like it. What's everyone's favorite comic? You can't make me choose. I love to read webcomics. One that I've been reading most frequently as of late is, there's two. There's Navalaire Like a Butterfly and The Beginning After the End are two of the ones that I read the most. I'm waiting for Castle Swimmer to come back. I really love The Dummy's Dummy. Breaks is another good one. Autophobia is another one. Grimory Land is another one. I read Melvina's Therapy when it was still updating. Countdown to Countdown is another one I really love. Gloomverse was one that I love to read. Some of them are on their own websites as well. Like The Boy After the End is another one I really love. Right? That was what it was called. I think. The Boy Who Fell, sorry. I mixed up the names. Castle Swimmer A, yes it is. I'm waiting for Castle Swimmer to come back. Did Castle Swimmer come back though? She's updating mini updates right now, so not the full chapters just yet, but she's giving like bonus ones because she still needs time. That's fine. Winx Club is a throwback. I'm so upset about the Netflix version. Just don't. It's forbidden. You don't talk about that. Maybe there's a street behind them. There's buildings. More buildings. There's always buildings. I quite like drawing buildings, actually. Sidewalk. Lamppost. This is not how the size of how... These are trees now. Now it looks like a... Hello, Jing. Welcome in. Favorite comic's pretty old. Calvin and Hobbes. Ah, classic. The memories, yeah. So medium shot is usually waist and up. Okay. Or knees and up. Right, so medium shots are waist and up and knees and up, right? Most common. This common shot generally just used for conversation. Used for generic conversation. right? So you'll see yourself using a medium shot a lot. Totally fine. There's a few other things you can do with a medium shot, like an over the shoulder, which is what it's like as if you think of the viewer as a camera, where you kind of have the camera going over another character's shoulder. There's some other fun things you can do with medium shots, but overall, medium shots are the ones you're going to use the most, right? Especially if you have a lot of talking, like my comic. You're going to get a lot of those. Love Castle Swimmer, Little Matcha Girl. Yep, Seed and Nothing Special. Never heard of that one. Yep, it's about comic composition. So we're talking a bit about how to work with comics and stuff like that. So I've already talked about keeping speech bubbles in mind while you're drawing it and making sure your action is kept super, super clear. Show don't tell, 180 rule. And we've talked about a few shot types. So establishing shot, long shot, and medium shot is what we got so far. The last comic I drew was entirely medium shots. It'd be kind of fun, actually. I want to ask you which is the most stable job that you can get related to drawing or illustration, because I love music, but I'm also good at drawing maybe graphic design or scientific illustration. Scientific illustration is you're set. But it's also hard. Are you trying to make a comic? I have a webcomic. Stable is hard to pinpoint because there's a lot of different things that are quote unquote stable. It just depends on who you're hired by. I'd say that the most quote unquote unstable form of income is freelance, right? Because you're your own boss and you rely on job to job sort of things. If you're hired by a company, it's stable. It just depends on your pay. That's literally it. So I don't know what would be considered the most stable, to be honest. Graphic design is very different from illustration, though it is. What's your comic called and where can I read it? It's called Say Hello, Grayson. Say hello. It's on Instagram right now at TLIIVISION at television, right? So it's like television but with two I's instead of an E, right? So it's at television. My comic is called Say Hello, Grayson. I'm currently rewriting it, so it's not. There's a lot of things I need to fix right now. It started off as an Inktober project that I just wanted to mess around with, and then it turned into a full thing. So I'm currently prepping it to go up on Webtoon and to Pastic. Hopefully it'll be released by May, either 10th or 17th. I'm kind of planning around that area. I think it's going to be the 17th because I need more time to finish the prologue. Okay, medium shot, close up. Nice drawing, thanks. There we go. So this writing portion is gonna take a lot longer than the past few live streams. Jessie's comic is great, thank you. Hope the debut goes well. Thank you. I hope so too. So a close-up shot. I'm having a lot of fun redrawing the prologue. This looks amazing. Thank you. Yeah, if the prologue started off as an Inktober thing, so it's like all traditionally drawn, and then everything after that is all digital, and then the mood completely changes, and I'm like, alright, I think I should change that. I really like drawing tears, if it's not evident by my comic, or just everything else that I draw. Oops, this should be a little bit, whoops, forgot that's what that did. Okay. I know Webtoon, yeah. Can you make a living as a full-time cartoonist? Absolutely. You can make a living as any sort of artist. You just gotta be really lucky. It takes a lot of failure to become a professional artist, you know? Like, I work for Wayne Canvas as their blog writer, content creator, part video editor, stuff like that, right? Sometimes I do illustrations. On the side, I do freelance illustration. If I join your classes, how does that work? Do I just carry on with the lessons in the class is doing, or somehow get a beginner introduction lesson? You kind of just carry on with what the classes are doing. Don't worry, cartooning anime is very much like, it's very chill. So I base off like your first assignment. I use to base off like your skill, right? So I'm like, based off of your skill level, then I can teach the lessons a little more like this. The cartooning anime isn't structured like this though. So live streams are structured more like my art mentorship classes. Cartooning anime is very, very chill. So it's very much like kind of building up basics over and over and over. Oh, really good. Thanks, Aaron. Aaron's one of the lovely members of the Wing Canvas team as well. Okay, so close-up shot. Let's see, we got 2 speech bubbles here. This is my favorite kind of composition. It's always like a close-up and then 2 speech bubbles while they're talking and saying something kind of profound. Okay. Gotta pick the colors. Close-up shots. Shoulders and up. That's not how you spell shoulders. Shoulders and up. Yo, don't tell people, bro. Sorry, Aaron. Cool. How do you tell your skill levels, though? I kind of judge it based off of how many basics I think you have got down, right? So I kind of check your anatomy. I check how your color theory is. I see how your style is progressed, stuff like that, right? And then I'm like, okay, they can probably work on this. They can probably work on that. And then I'll kind of highlight that a little bit more while I teach a little bit more. Proposed. Is it too late to sign up for those classes? Never. Our classes are like constantly running. So just like join in whenever. Close-up shot. Shoulders and up. Usually used to convey emotion. Right, so close-up shots are kind of when you get to convey the most emotion, right? You see the character's face, you see them there, you see the little twitches of the eye. Expressions are very, very important when it comes to comics, especially if you have a lot of characters. I really want to try writing a wordless comic at one point, where it's like you have to show, don't tell, because I find I rely on words a little bit too much. So I kind of want to try writing a wordless one day, which is really hard. But your close-up shots will show the most emotion. How did I learn to draw? I'm self-taught. The classes don't start any semester dates. Pretty sure you can drop in anytime. Yep, they just start whenever. I taught myself, so I am pretty well completely self-taught. I have a little bit of training when I went to video game art school for about a year, but I've been drawing for like my whole life. A lot of it's just like practice. I taught myself how to do digital work when I was 13, so I've been learning on Photoshop since I was about 13. We're getting close to 7 years after that. But anyway, so close-up shots. Yes, shoulders and up are usually used to convey emotion. What did I have next? We got 3 more. Don't worry, not many more. Yes, so is the extreme close-up, which is next. Whoops. Extreme. I just found your channel a couple days ago and the video tutorial about how to use MediBang Paint Pro. I just want to say you make very good tutorials. Thank you. Self-taught, you're really good. Thank you. It's okay. You don't have to worry about spelling. I had a lot of friends who were not great at spelling. Extreme close-up. Half my first chapter was originally wordless. It's very fun to write wordless. I have done wordless before. I just find I'm very bad at it. So I'm like, I want to get better at it. Extreme close-up. How am I going to do this? So, extreme close-up. Why did you choose your main job to be drawing for a live audience? This isn't the main part of my job, but hello, words of wisdom words. Welcome in. She wears a lot of hoodies, though, or did when we had the studio. Yeah, that's right. I meant to go, not Agora. That's fine. Yeah, I got it. Why'd you choose your main job drawing for a live audience? Well, it wasn't that. This isn't the main part of my job. It is one of the most in-your-face parts of my job. The main part of my job, I think, is the blog writing portion. I do that a lot. And a lot of the video scripts. So all of the other videos on the channel, like 90% of them, I'm the one who writes the scripts for them too. So all the historical artist ones, the elements of art ones, I write all of those. So that's part of my job as well, as the script writing. And then I'm the sole blog writer, so I write all the blogs as well. Hello, Gabriel. Welcome in. Wing Canvas was part of my co-op position. So I was originally a co-op student back in high school for Wing Canvas, and I got hired midway through. Honestly, it's just a lot of fun. I love talking to people. I like attention. So I'm kind of like, it's also, I'm like stuck at home and I'm a really big extrovert, so it's nice to talk to people, even if it's over a live stream. How do I become a freelance artist? You gotta sell yourself, man. It's kind of like growing an online profile, and then people will approach you for commissions and stuff like that a lot of the time. I spill good, me too. This one right there. You got first in your country spelling bee. It's pretty epic, the Ducky Show. Lucky Ducky. Kirby Mouse, it's genius. Thank you. I love Kirby. Listen, let's not talk about Kirby, because I won't stop. Do I do webtoons? By the way, I love your art style. Thank you. I am going to in a couple weeks. So, it just started as a webcomic, so, like on Instagram, so I am just prepping to release it. Hope you can hit 6K by the end of the stream. Oh, that'd be epic. Lol, sell yourself. Thank you, Yuri. Yuri is one of our lovely teachers at the studio as well. She's our animation teacher. I can't animate to save my life, but she's really good. So if you ever want to do that, me too. I love attention too. Yes, same. Eyes. Yes, extreme close-ups. I love extreme close-ups. Actually, I have a lot of insert shots. That's one that I think I do a lot. But we haven't talked about insert shots yet, so I'll talk about that after the extreme close-up. Buy me. Buy my work. Pay me. The joys of being an artist. As my friends say, you kind of have to learn how to peacock in order to be an artist, right? That means just to kind of show off, right? So confidence is key when it comes to being an artist. Already subscribed. Yeah, let's go. Thank you for subscribing. So an extreme close-up. I'm gonna get myself some water. I have water. I always get myself water before the stream starts, because I know I need it. All the teachers are here. Not all of them. We got quite a few of them. So, but yeah, Aaron's not a teacher. He's one of our behind the scenes. But yeah, Yuri is one of our instructors. The individual behind the Wing Canvas channel right now is lovely Faye, our creative director. That means she's our boss. Faye's also one of our lovely instructors at the studio as well, though. Okay, extreme close-up. I'm not a teacher. I'm a wall painter, for real. One color. No funny business. Thanks, Aaron. It's great how artists can get attention with their work, but still have privacy and not get stopped in the street like actors do. Yeah, I mean, some artists do get stopped in the street. Depends who you get. Okay, extreme close-ups. Or close-up shots. Of the face. That's important. It's a close-up sections of the face, right? Your extreme close-ups are the face, right? Also used for emotion. Or they're mainly used for slight changes in emotion. Come on, undo. Thank you. Changes in emotion. Right? You know that super dramatic thing that some movies do where it's like they'll have a character staring at you and then suddenly like it zooms in on their eyes and their eyebrows like crinkle in, right? That's a very big kind of extreme close-up shot thing. Sometimes it's used to show very slight changes in emotion, right? That can be used very, very well with comics. Use it smartly, use it intelligently, and whatever. Stuff like that. Just wondering who's operating your YouTube accounts. As you're drawing right now, how is posting in the chat? It's not me. So we have a whole team who operates the YouTube channel. So I'm just the presenter. Think of like a play, right? I'm the actor on the stage, and there's somebody behind the scenes as well, right? So I'm partially behind the scenes. Someone else is also behind the scenes. So it's a whole team here at Wing Canvas. It's not just me. Jessie giving away all the secret sauce today about Wing Canvas peeps. I always do this. Yes, so lovely Faye's behind the scenes today. I'm a bit intimidated about the level assessment for the classes, Rip. Listen, don't be. I'm very chill. You know, everyone at the studio is very chill. We're not very, like, strict about that kind of stuff. Cartooning Anime 3 just means I'll be a little less hand-holdy. That's all. Faye Lu, yes. Okay, so extreme close-up shot, establishing shot, long shot, medium shot. We got two more. Two more. So about insert shot. This is my favorite one. I love insert shots. Wrong F. I was just wondering who was doing the typing if you're answering the questions. Yeah, no, so it's not just me. Whole team. Wow, yeah, there's a bunch of us. There's a bunch of us here at Wing Canvas. So if you've watched our other videos, right? So I'm the one who helms the elements of art. The voice of our videos is, for our famous artist studio videos, is Rachel Ng. I write the scripts. JC usually edits all of our videos. I edit some of them. I really hope Spanx it. Well, yeah, no, don't worry. That's actually how it's pronounced. Oh, nice. Yay. Yeah. Don't worry. Our classes are really chill. Just like, I know it's kind of like intimidating, but like I promise, I'm very chill with all this kind of stuff. So an insert shot. Let me flex how I draw hands for a second. Right? So let's say that this is definitely not a cigarette, but let's say we kind of got a hand here. Team of art nerds, yeah, let's go. Yeah, I always tell people coworkers it's just art. If you don't get it right, it's not like anyone dies. There's also no right or wrong, right? Well, here's the thing, right? This is gonna take me a little bit to draw. Right or wrong with art, it just depends on what stretch of art you're going into, right? Art has rules, but the rules change depending on the art style you're going for, right? So it feels like art has no rules, but it does. It just depends on what branch of art you're going into, right? So entertainment art is very different from fine arts, which is very different from graphic design, which is very different from yada yada stuff, right? Same thing, right? Realism is very different from cartooning, it's very different from anime, it's very different from yada yada yada, right? So art does have rules, it's just it depends what set of rules you're following, so it doesn't really feel like no, there are any, because there's so many. What do you think about NFTs? Let's not be part of the art community that likes to. It's a little controversial, but I'm not a fan, but I'm not gonna go further than that. You draw fast. It takes me like 3 days to come up with a draft. Yeah, I've been told that I draw fast. I'm kind of speedy. Google Ducky to explain here. Yeah, it's too complicated. I'm not a fan of them, and I don't want to explain them, but it's a little controversial. So don't really want to talk about it. I'll just say that I don't like them. That's about it. Hello, Etherean. Hopefully I pronounced that right. For the cartooning anime class, what would be some prerequisite knowledge? I'm not sure if the level 1 class is too easy or level 2 class is too hard. Level 1 classes usually consist of very, very young kids. So those are very, like, super, super easy. They're always step by step. Level 2 is kind of, here's how I gauge them, right? Level 1 is always step by step. Like, it's like you kind of follow along with the class, like, hand-holdy, very, very easy. right? Level 2 is like you kind of get rid of a little bit of that, but there's still some hand-holdiness. And then level 3 is like you kind of are expected to go off on your own, but there is a little bit still of like teaching and whatever, right? So if you kind of can hold out on your own, I'd recommend going on level 3. If you still need a little bit more of that step-by-step instruction, I'd go with level 2. And level 1 is for really young kids, so I wouldn't really advise that if you're over the age of 10. So, drink 3+ waters a day. Yes, do it. What's our NFTs? I'd Google it. Okay, non-fungible token. That fucking makes sense. Yeah, it's not. I would send samples of recommendations. I don't really know how to color for color theory. It's okay. It just, even if you don't have the knowledge of it, some people can do it without like actually knowing what it is. So I'm really just looking for like how well you like know how to color. That's basically it. A lot of my students have a very good sense of color theory, but don't know what it is. Like they don't know any of like the book knowledge when it comes to color theory, but they're very good at sensing it. So it's like, I have a lot of students who are really great at coming up with palettes and they don't know what palettes they're using. So, you know, it's kind of that deal. So don't worry, you're probably great. There's writing here, yes, and there's an ashtray over here. This ended up being too elaborate. Oh, well. Insert shots. Close-up shots. Of other parts of a character. Or object. Meant to show. Interaction. Or movement. I should make that a little bit clearer because I'm kind of chicken scratching right now. Interaction. Or movement. Or emotion. Right? Sometimes you'll have shots of people fiddling with their hands in their hands in their lap, right? Or they're fiddling with a piece of paper on the table or something, right? Or they're picking up a piece of paper, slamming a phone on the slamming a phone back in its holster, right? If we still use those landlines, right? So kind of insert shots are meant to show those kinds of things. I do. Is it weird that I screen recorded you saying my name? You pronounce my name better than my teachers. Oh, I'm glad. Atika Shafiq. I hope I did. I'm using a computer to draw because that's hard to do. Yes, I am. I am using my lovely Omen PC, my gaming PC that I rarely play video games on. And I'm using a Cintiq 13HD, so it's a screen tablet, so I can draw directly onto it, but it connects to my PC. Foxman. My name is really easy to say. The Ducky Show. Yeah. Pretty epic. Alright. Final shot. This is the last one. So then we can get to the actual illustration portion. Is a Dutch angle. So this one's not less of a shot. This one's more just something that I wanted to show. It can be done with any type of shot. In a combination. It can be done in combination with any of these shots, but it's more of an angle. Right? But I really want to talk about it because I love Dutch angles too. It's usually done with long shots, but it can be done with anything else. Oh, I've been doing all these on the same layer. Whoopsies! Oh well. I'm working on 2 webcomics, by the way. That's a lot of work. I could never. My best, I have enough trouble keeping up with 1 webcomic. But yeah, that's pretty cool, man. I would never. I mean, maybe in the future when I have more time or something, but right now, no. Definitely not. My comics are on paper. Yeah, no, mine are digital. I like my... It's a lot faster to work digitally, I suppose, because then it's like I also work in Clip Studio Paint, so like I have access to like these really good perspective tools that I love to use. I was using them last night. I got frustrated because I was like, man, I can't get this background right. And I realized I had the horizon line in the wrong spot. And I was like, oh, that's why. So I was like 20 minutes wasted. I was like, man, let's pretend that they're... Maybe one day I'll get in the right mindset to write a full horror comic too. Because right now mine is more of like a fantasy horror drama kind of thing. By the way, with virtual classes, how much work is handed out a week? Of course, my day's school, but like none. It depends on per teacher, right? How much work they hand out. For me, it's like cartooning anime has like little to no homework. It's all optional. For art mentorship, it's all like it's like one kind of assignment, and then like that's it. It's like never much. I try not to give out too much because I know that there's a lot of schoolwork that y'all have to deal with, and I don't want to bombard you with more, I suppose. One is very short and weekly, the other is long and monthly. Yeah. You know, mine is long and weekly. So I have full illustrated backgrounds almost every single panel with this new one, with the new rerun. Yeah. Can you post a link to our artwork in the chat? Sure, why not? Clip Studio Paint should sponsor you. I don't use Clip very often. I use Clip just for its extra stuff. I'm one of the very minority who prefers Photoshop. I have a lot of coworkers who prefer Clip though. So chill. Yeah, it's super chill. I try not to make everything too intense. It's like I understand there's a lot of work, right? I have a little brother who's in high school right now, and like I know that there's like a lot of stuff he has to deal with too, so I'm like I don't want to add wood to the flame or whatever. Feed the flame or whatever, you know. Okay, Dutch angle. When the horizon line, or when your horizon line is tilted, meant to show confusion, oh boy, or creeping, anxiety, right? So Dutch angles are kind of meant to show like a lead up to an action, right? It's used very often in horror. If you've ever watched a horror movie, you'll probably see them a lot. But yeah, you'll see Dutch angles a lot in horror. It's meant to show kind of creeping action, stuff like that. Okay, I'm gonna make this a little bit larger because I'm gonna go 10,500 just to give it a little bit of space down there because it's a little choked. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Yes, Photoshop. Yes, Yuri and I. Which app am I using to draw this? So this is MediBang Paint Pro. This is a free digital drawing app. Do you even need a reference photo? When do you really need it? Always use references. I just don't use references when I teach. I'm kidding. I always use references. Yes, this is MediBang. But yes, you should always use references. If you're not sure how to draw something, if you kind of struggle to draw something, use a reference, right? If something is like kind of giving you heck, right? And you're like, man, I don't know how to draw this, right? So that's when you should look up a reference, right? Even still, I always say to look up references. What is this layer then? I have mixed up every single layer that I've had. I've named them too. Because I don't usually work with this many. So, actually, I'm not going to organize it. MediBang should really sponsor you. I don't think I'm that great at MediBang. Everyone's like, you're the MediBang expert. I'm like, I don't think so, but like, thank you. The drawings are so good. Thank you. Switched to Clip and never looked back. Well, yeah, Clip is very, very good. But yeah, use references every single time, right? I think what was my most recent reference? School hallway. I was looking up a school hallway. Oh, no, it's not. It was the pews of a church. I think that's what I looked up. I looked up stairs before that too, right? If you're ever unsure how to draw something, look it up. right? Like, do it, right? Because, like, sometimes it's like you'll draw something, and you're like, yeah, it looks fine, and then you actually look at the real thing, and you're like, oh, never mind, that's awful, right? I had to look up so many school hallways to get what I wanted for my own comic, right? I had to look up doorknobs for a while, and I also had to look up a door at one point because I needed its height, and now I know that the average height of a door is around 6'6". So there you go. Now you know that. But always look up references. Always, always, always. Long is called the symbol. The short is still not started. Me and my friend have a lot of schoolwork this month. He's still writing and I'm experimenting with design. Ah, so you're doing it in tandem with someone else. So that's smart. I'm not smart. I write it all myself, and then I get other people. I get my best friend to help me with ideas. Okay. So with that though, that's all the different shots, everything that I wanted to go over. Wow, that took an hour. So now we're gonna get into the illustration portion. But before then, I'm going to talk a bit about the studio. So, hello to everyone who has popped in. For those who don't know, I mean, I've already been talking about it. For those who don't know, we are not only a YouTube channel, we are also a art school. So if you would like to check out all the classes that we offer, I am one of the teachers, as well as Faye, who is behind the Wing Canvas channel right now, and Yuri, who pops in every once in a while. We are all teachers here at the studio, so if you'd like to check out our classes, be sure to check out the link in the description. And this file that you see before you will be available on our Discord to download as a JPEG, so you can keep it, save it, do whatever you want, refer back to it, just don't repost it. And it is all yours for you to keep as a JPEG, so you can refer back to it. But if you would like this whole working file with all of my layers on it, you are going to have to sign up to our Patreon, which is where you can get access to my working files, to some of my working files, and you can also get access to some of the behind the scenes stuff, so stuff that I haven't talked about on stream, that I'm not allowed to talk about on stream, you can get access to on our Patreon. I am also the person who posts those, so, for now I believe, but you'll get access to some of our behind the scenes on there, as well as some discounts for our classes, so be sure to check those out as well. All right. Height of tours. I don't usually work with many layers. It has 3 layers. That's not a lot. That's more than usual for something like this. Hello, Aaron. How do you get those ribbons to fly across screen? Well, it's just OBS off to the side. I got my my streaming set up. Okay, so now we can start with the actual illustration. Yeah, that's about right. So we had a community poll. You would know about them if you joined our Discord, right? Or if you get notified by our channel, so subscribe. So we had a community poll about what background I would be drawing to show off comic composition. And the poll suggested that I would draw a bedroom, right? I love drawing bedrooms, so we will absolutely be drawing that. So I'm going to use a technique that I use sometimes, which is kind of like a flat. This just makes it a little bit faster. Whew, listen to that wind. Good grief. When you're drawing a bedroom, I'm going to be using a technique that I like to call my floor plan technique. Right, so I'm just going to kind of figure out where exactly I want everything to go. So I'm kind of thinking that my brain, should I just try Daisy's room again? No, I'm not going to do that. Ah! No, I'm not going to do that. Well, I mean, I could. That's the thing. Oh, hello, Mother. Would you like to say hi to stream? Hello. Hi. Bye. Thank you for my coffee. Family always comes in to bring me Timmy's. I got a donut. I'll eat it later, but now I have coffee, so good. Okay. You know, I'm just gonna draw my OC's room. Why not? Daisy's room. Daisy's room is easy enough. Okay. So what I like to do is I actually like to, if it's in a perspective, right, if it's 2-point inside a room, I like to start off with laying down everything as if it was a floor plan, right? If you've ever seen floor plans, you know how they're kind of like 2D, top down, right? You look at them that way. Yeah, and feel free to draw along with me, even if I kind of go, even if I kind of zoom along. Try your best. Alright, so her bed is kind of like, oh no, because she has a windowsill thing too, right? Yeah, it's been so long since I've drawn it. Try to remember what it looked like, because it's been a while. Yeah, because she had a little windowsill thing here too. Oof, that's gonna make it difficult. Oh well. I'm here for difficult. I've grown the mindset where the more difficult something is, the more fun I have. So, except for vehicles. Every student of mine knows I hate vehicles. Oh, that's cute. You have a good mom. Thank you. I love my mother. She's home kind of early. Okay. She kind of has her bed here. It's a really big bed, and she has a nightstand over here. Hi, Jessie's mother. Yes. And she has a headboard that's really big and a couple pillows. And then there's a shelf here. Oh my god, I'm trying to remember. There's a shelf here that's filled with anime figurines. And then I had to plan this out before I actually wrote it. And then her desk, there's a chair here. She has a television that connects to her laptop. Yes? Yes. And then there's a carpet here, I believe. I think. You know what? Here's where you use references. Let's see how I drew this. Jessie is a person who delivers coffee to her room. It's just my mom. Don't worry. 6K, congratulations. Oh, did we reach 6K? Let's go. 6K on stream. How did I draw her room? Okay, yeah, so there's a carpet here. Looking back on my old artwork. Do you know what would be a better idea? If I actually showed you what I'm referencing. Hang on. Let's just open the file. Okay. Okay, so this is the room that I'm kind of thinking of, right? So this is Daisy's room. There's a lot going on here. But yeah, so there's like a desk mat here. Oh, it's more of like a square room. Oh, well, we'll pretend that it's a little more skewed or whatever. Alright, she's got a carpet underneath here. If you're wondering how long it took me to draw that entire room, it was 4 hours. So I sat there for 4 hours drawing that whole thing. Anyway. Anime figurines, what's my favorite anime? Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. The luxury SMH, I know. Yeah, please open the file. Okay. Because I wrote her to be like a very big weeb. So I have like... It was really fun to draw this background. This is 1 point perspective, by the way. I'm going to be doing 2. Hello, D'Angie. Welcome in. Okay. I should have done this method for when I actually drew her room. So, when I have this, right, this is my floor plan, right? What I'm going to do, I'm going to hide this layer. I'm going to figure out my perspective now, right? So, it's been so long since I watched that. Yeah, I know. I read the manga. I'm actually going to do it a different way. I read the manga. I didn't really, like, watch the anime, but it's still, nothing has rivaled it in its story, so... I mean, I really liked Hunter x Hunter too, but like, I still will always prefer Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Or just Full Metal Alchemist in general, just because of how good it is. Right, so let's say that we kind of got my room here. Right, I'm gonna have the bed facing here. And now, based off of how I've skewed it, now I can draw everything 3-dimensional. Right, so this kind of plans out where everything is gonna go. I'm gonna make this smaller. I'm gonna stay zoomed out too, because that makes it easier. And this is gonna cover up here. Yeah. This is gonna be a case of don't copy exactly what I'm doing, because I'm just kind of making up perspective right now. Use perspective guidelines if you don't know what you're doing. Please don't be like me. As I kind of make it up as I go. So that should kind of go there-ish. Yeah. There's a window here, and... Sorry, I'll read the chat in a second. And... yeah. 4 hours, yo, it's not as long as I thought. Yeah, no, it's long for me. It's very long to spend on just like a page. I was like, no, this is taking too long. Now pages take about like 3-ish hours just because like they take 3-ish hours just because they're so big and long. And then the bed here. How's this bed look? Oh yeah, it's like then the headboard is kind of like that. So I'm also keeping my rule of thirds in mind while I'm drawing this too, right? So I'm kind of thinking about like, okay, where does it's like how does this bed kind of work in composition, right? What's actually happening, stuff like that, right? But I'm also leaving areas of low priority, right? So I have this section in the foreground up here, right? So this is going to be the desk. That's right here, right? So the desk is right here, and there's also a shelf here. But these are considered low priority. They're directly in the foreground. Laptop's going to go kind of here. The chair can kind of go here then, yeah. So these are all in the foreground, but they're low priority, right? Your highest priority, your prospect guideline is good stuff. Thanks. It's started watching FMA Brotherhood. It's top 3 anime manga I watched read so far. Yeah, no, I love FMA. So good. I finished the whole manga in 2 days, and I was like obsessively reading it, and afterwards I wouldn't stop talking about it to my best friend. She's like, Jessie, you need to stop. Sorry, hit my mic. Ah, yes, I do proper 2-point perspective in another live stream. So if you'd like to check out how I do this kind of stuff, then feel free to do so. But when it comes to priority, right, especially when it comes to comics, you have to establish what your priorities are, right? Your number one priority, most of the time when it comes to your comics, should be your characters. If there's a main character in shot, you need to make sure that nothing is covering them up. You can have a little bit covering them up. It depends on the effect that you want, but if they're talking, and you have a setting, you got to put your speech bubble somewhere. You need to make sure that your characters are clear and that you don't have much covering them up, right? So this is more of an extreme long shot that I didn't talk about, but it's basically just a farther out version of the long shot. So I didn't bother. Alright, so let's say that I draw Daisy in here too, right? So if we have your character, sorry, if I ever go quiet, it means I'm focusing. Right, well, we have the main character, the character who's supposed to be in shot, right? And then we have to choose where our low priority areas are. So the rest of the background is mostly low priority. Right? There's some things that you might want to keep in mind, but in general, you kind of got to figure out where exactly you want the eyes to flow around the composition as well. Right? So the ideal is you want to kind of go up to the bottom, top of the corner to the bottom corner over here, right? So across the screen. That's your ideal, right? Because our brains will automatically prioritize certain areas over others. So I think you're going to have to redo this over and over and over too as well. Because I'm kind of thinking about where that would go. Yeah. Okay. So let's clean this up a little bit. I don't think I'll be able to get to lines. We'll see. Hopefully I'll be able to, but we'll have to see. Alright, because we have a few areas where we want to prioritize things to go. I need to go because it's almost midnight. I'll check out the rest of the stream and I'll wake up. Okay, thanks for joining. Yeah, it's 5 p.m. over here. 5:14 to be exact. It's actually for a joke, but then I say it's like 2 for me. 2 p.m. or 2 a.m.? 2 a.m. Those are my kind of hours. 2 p.m. I'm like half awake, but I am awake. I should say zoomed out because if I stay too zoomed in. Good night, though. Thanks for popping in. You're from the Discord server. Yeah. Thanks for joining the Discord. You'll be able to download the JPEG for this afterwards. I'm gonna have to change how large she is because she's absolutely supposed to be a lot smaller because this bed is quite large. That's the joys of digital. If you kind of mess up how large someone's supposed to be, you can just Control-T, easy fix. Canada, of course, we like it loco. I'm actually near the studio. Oh, really? Oh, where the old studio was, I suppose, because we don't really have the live studio anymore. But very epic. So you're kind of in the same area then. Funky, funky. Discord is nice. I just joined. Thanks. It's very chill in the Discord. Not much happens, but it's kind of nice like that. It's not too much to moderate, I suppose. Oh, free transform is still on. Oops. No, I wanted to apply that. There we go. Wonderful. And then it's midnight where you are. I'm always up till midnight. I'm always up super, super late. Probably the old one, yeah. Shout out to all the late people, yeah. Shout out to all the people who stay up way too late. Hi, hello, Susami. More Discord. Yeah, it's alright. I prefer that it's like not super active, to be honest. There's less to keep track of, I suppose. I'd rather it be inactive than be riddled with trolls, you know? Because that gets boring real fast. Sorry, that gets boring real fast. Me up till 2 p.m. I can't believe I just joined a voice channel by accident. That's fine, it happens. I've done that too. Actually, I once thought I had a meeting at a certain point, and then I realized I got the day wrong, and I was like, oh, okay, never mind. Time to leave then. Okay. What does she have? She's like a lamp here, too. It was like a tree. Right? Yeah. Yeah, might make some friends on the Discord. Most of the stuff that happens on the Discord is like people posting their artwork, which is pretty cool to see. I post my personal work on there sometimes too, so you can see my work outside of Wayne Canvas. So whether it's like, sometimes I post like doodles or like my weekly posts that I usually post on Instagram as well. I need to drink something because my voice is going away. Me up till 2 p.m. I'm assuming you mean 2 a.m. My friends, how much coffee did you drink today? Coffee. I don't usually drink coffee either. The only coffee that I like is Tim Hortons French vanilla. Because it's barely coffee. It's like 90% sugar. Yeah, and this is going to be directly in the foreground. Let's turn up my correction just a little bit for now. It's like, do you need stuff in your foreground? Technically, no. But I like to have stuff in my foreground. Yeah, when you're doing backgrounds, try to stay fairly zoomed out, because if you don't, then you can end up getting caught up on details. When did I decide to draw? I've been drawing for my whole life. I've been drawing since I was born with a pencil in hand. I was born with a pencil and piece of paper in hand, and I drew my first Picasso piece. No, I'm kidding. I first seriously started drawing when I turned about 12 to 13. But I drew as a hobby for my whole life. So I'm surrounded by artists. So I am like constantly under the influence of other people who are also artists. You know, right? Like I mentioned in the beginning, my dad's a photographer, right? My cousin Kay is a creative writer. My cousin Holly's also a photographer. She was a dancer for a while. My dad and my cousins all play like musical instruments. I played piano for a while. My dad played a lot of string instruments. Cousin Holly and Kay also played piano like I did. My brother played drums for a little bit. It's like I'm surrounded by artists, so it just kind of felt right to be an artist too. Yeah. My uncle, one of my uncles is a culinary artist. My aunt likes to do wax art, both sculpture and painting. And so she paints with wax, which is pretty cool. We have a couple of her things up in our house. My aunt also likes to refurbish furniture. She likes to paint that sort of stuff. Works with recycled materials a lot with her as her medium, which is pretty cool. So she's kind of like a fine artist, I guess. But she's also a really good pastry chef. So But yeah, last week's stream was all about like the general composition basics. If you want to kind of catch up on that, feel free to check out last week's live stream. So I gotta redraw the bubbles in, even though I'm gonna use a different tool to draw them, because I'm pretty sure MediBang has a speech bubble tool that I'm probably not gonna use, so I'm just gonna use my own method. We'll see if MediBang has that function, because if not, then I'm gonna have to figure out how to use that speech bubble tool. Because Photoshop and Clip have really nice speech bubble tools. Now we can get to lines. Actually wasn't that bad. If I don't have to draw this shelf, we're all good, because it's filled with books and figurines. Books are the worst thing to draw over and over, by the way. Like, I don't mind it, it's not hard, it just takes up a lot of time. So you're kind of just stuck there, like, constantly. Gonna make the lines a little bit rough, too. Just so I don't spend forever. It's so windy. I woke up to the wind. Yep. Come on. There we go. Yeah, so now I'm kind of just focusing on more fine-ish details. I'm not going to bother drawing her actual eyes because it's kind of a far away shot. Think about when you want to decide what level of detail you should put everything in, right? It's all about, you know, figuring out how far away this character is going to be, right? How much is the audience actually going to see of said character, right? So if it's something like pretty far away like this, you can kind of dumb down the details a little bit more. Did I grow up in Canada? Yes. What's the story behind the panel? I don't know. I kind of wanted her talking on the phone. It's kind of a cop-out panel, I guess. It's just like, yeah, I don't really want any action happening. Who's she talking with? We don't know. Oh, this is Daisy, by the way. Daisy is one of my characters. She is a demon. So that's why she kind of looks like this. Today's extremely windy where we live. Yeah, it's still extremely windy where I am right now. It's still howling outside. I wonder if you guys can hear it. I don't think so, but yeah, I've grown up in Canada. I've been in the same spot ever since I was a kid. I started off by living with my grandma, with my parents, and then we moved to our own house when I was like 2 or something. My dad grew up in Canada too, but he was first born in Jamaica, with my grandma and my grandpa. And then I moved to Canada when he was 4. So I'm Chinese Jamaican, and I'm also Filipino, which is where my mom grew up, and she moved here when she was 22. Same, yeah. Great day to hang out on YouTube indoors. Yeah, pretty much, right? Too windy. Too much happening. Where are you right now? In my bedroom. I stream from my bedroom, if you're wondering. I don't have an office. Ooh, Jamaica, yeah. Hello, Shania. Welcome in. I hope that's how you pronounce it. It's either Shania or Shania. Or something else, and I'm completely wrong. But Jamaica, yeah. My dad was born in Jamaica. My mom was born in the Philippines. I am currently in Ontario, Canada. That's where I live. This person's face is creepy. Yeah, she's a demon. She's not really a full human. She's a character from me webcomic. Have all the DNA to be a karaoke master. Pretty much. my Filipino genes. COVID took her office. That's true. Thanks. Yeah, the first pronunciation. Okay, excellent. Shania. Wonderful. Welcome in then. Yeah, hopefully we'll have another office in the future. But for now, we all work remotely. Demon. Yeah, my comic is it's a horror drama kind of thing. Mostly drama, though. Oops. It's all like demons and learning how to grow up in a new environment. That's what it's all about. It's fun to write that comic. Always need the correction when I draw circles, and then I can just turn it back off once I'm done. Okay, just turn it back down to 10, because that tends to be good enough. Alright, so you're kind of just deciding how much detail you want. What program do I use for comics? Generally, I work in a combination of Clip Studio and Photoshop. So Clip Studio is where I draw all my backgrounds, or all my backgrounds with intense perspective. And then Photoshop is where I do everything else. So for Clip Studio, I like to do all my like perspective corrections in there because it has a perspective tool and it makes just the process a lot faster. But I prefer Photoshop as a program, like, which is kind of a unpopular opinion when it comes to the online art world. But I like to have my I like the coloring options in there. I like the functions because I'm used to the photo editing aspect of it, which I like a lot more personally. But yeah, so I use a blend of the two. I would show you one of them, but that's spoilers. And if you want spoilers, join my classes because my students get that all the time. Please put a link to your series in the chat right now, thanks. So I can't do that, but it's on Instagram, so you can read what's up right now. It's at TELIIVISION. Ah, never mind. Faded it. There you go. So you can check out the whole webcomic on my Instagram, which is just posted. It's what's out so far anyway. Like, I know, like, you start with the Inktober portion, and then the rest is all digital. Yeah, it was a kind of a here's your for everyone who wants to write a webcomic someday. Here's me telling you to. I planned that comic for a week, and then wrote it and posted it. And then afterwards, like, it was only meant to be a month-long thing, and then people liked it, so I was like, all right, I'll just keep writing it. And I kind of did everything on the spot. It was a very much on the spot kind of process, and I was like, all right, now as I finished it, I was like, okay, now it's time to fix everything because I have a lot of mistakes in here. Because it was all very spur of the moment. So, you don't need, well, like, it's better to have, like, tons of, it's like, what about where you post your comics? It's still on Instagram. It's like, it's all on Instagram. The original's on Instagram. I'm redoing it right now. But yeah, no, like, it's good to plan it, but like sometimes if you plan for way too long and then you just kind of let it go, it's better to just go for it. You can fix stuff later. That's what's great about indie comics is, like, it's you running it, right? You don't have the obligations of a studio. Just go for it and fix it afterwards. Nobody's stopping you. So I took a couple months to fix everything. I'm still kind of fixing out stuff, and I'll get to posting it once the prologue is done. Because I want to finish the prologue first, so then I can get directly on everything else afterwards. So this is your sign to start that webcomic or that story you've been holding out on. Do it. It's so much fun. It takes a lot of willpower and a lot of patience to do it, but man, it's fun. You gotta have, because you gotta have consistency. You gotta kind of be willing to constantly do stuff, right? Because it's like you gotta post probably weekly, right? And then you gotta write the whole thing and deal with criticism and stuff like that, right? I constantly get writing tips, or not tips, but, like, actually, my form of writing education is listening to other people review books. But be open for critique and whatever from other people, right? I give spoilers to my students, and, like, they kind of help me write stuff sometimes. And, like, I have my best friend who I text sometimes, and I'm like, hey, I need to bounce some ideas off of you, and then she'll help me write it. Right? It's kind of like it's fun, but it's hard. That's what I'm gonna say about it. Have I met other comic writers in my time? I mean, I talk to some. It's just like I'm not any, like, big ones, I guess. Like, mostly just online comic writers, I suppose. I don't have a lot of comic artist friends, though, I've realized. A lot of my friends are just illustrators. My best friend's an... Whoa. My best friend's an animator. So she's an animation student. She's really, really good. But most of the time, it's just... I think I'm, like, the main comic artist person that I know. Like, I know some people who've dabbled in it, but none who are, like, really strong in it. Oh, that's a lie. I know my dad has a childhood friend that I know who's really, really good with comics and stuff. Oops. Okay, what time is it? It's 5:35. Oh, yeah, I can get this done within that time. I don't think I'll be able to get it colored, but I can definitely get it done. That's for sure. I did that wrong. Whoopsies. There we go. Yeah, I love meeting artists. I love meeting comic artists and writers and stuff like that. It's like, I know a lot of artists, just not many comic artists. I suppose it's because I spent most of my time, because originally I wanted to go into video game art, so I spent most of my time learning people within that field. And then now I'm like, I switched with midway, and I'm like, well, guess I'm on my own now. Little bonsai, I hope you don't cover it. Well, he's kind of partially covered. He's a lamp. He's a little lamp off to the corner. It's like a cloud. I like debated whether I was gonna make it a little... Oh, there's a tissue box there. I was debating whether I was gonna make it a... Actually, I don't need to draw it. There's a comic thing. There's a bubble covering that. I was debating whether I was gonna make it a tree or a lamp originally. But here we are. Yeah, he'll be covered a little. And he's not really high priority, unfortunately. Do you like The Far Side? I just started reading it. I've never heard of it. I will check it out, though. I had posters all over these walls, which I will not be drawing in the images in them because they took forever last time. Yeah, I read a lot of webcomics. It's like, I could just read you out my list, but I don't want to do that. The Far Side. It's from the 80s. Oh! Oh, it's a comic strip! Ah! You know, I don't read a lot of strips. Or, like, kind of newspaper deal comics. The wind is shaking my tree in the backyard so much. Yeah, it's shaking everything outside my house right now. I woke up this morning to my house, like, it felt like it was shaking. I was like, oh dear. But yeah, I don't really read a lot of, like, newspaper. Like, comics that kind of feel like they were part of newspaper at one point. You know the art style. It's kind of like the kind of feel like that, right? Most of the webcomics I read are, like, online. Very few. I've read, like, a couple, like, DC Marvel comics, but not much. I have a few volumes of the Super Sons, and that's about it. Because I really love that artist, Jorge Jimenez. He's really, really good, and I was like, oh, I want something in that style, because the way that he draws Damien and John is really, really good. And I was like, okay, I gotta read this one. 48 pages finished. You got more than me finished, that's for sure. Peanuts, mutts, fun. I've never heard of that one either. Maybe I'm too young. I don't think I'm like. I was born in the 2000s, guys. I'm too young. Yes, start posting. It's good to build up a queue, though. Smarter than me. That's what I always say. If you have a queue, you're smarter than me. I never had a queue with my first release of my webcomic. So, good choice. Good choice. Have a queue. You're gonna want it. Now, normally, I would have a reference here to reference a keyboard. Fortunately, time doesn't allow for that, so I am just going to draw in keys that look like this. I mean, I know some keyboards have their keys like that, and it's awful, but, like, I would never. I could never. Oof. Goodness, that's loud. Oh, I can see the thunder clouds rolling in. We're gonna get lightning tonight. I can feel it. I'm just scared to post it. Don't be scared. My premise is weird, too. Think less about whether people will enjoy it and think more about, you know, if you enjoy it, right? Your comic should be something that you enjoy first and foremost, right? And then if you enjoy it, then someone else probably will. Plus, if it's your first, it's easier to forgive, I suppose. Yeah, I'm certain it's great, right? And even if it's, like, not super well received, like, you need to think more about how it fulfills you compared to how, like, other people will enjoy it, right? Think less about how popular it is and more about if you'll enjoy posting it or not. I can't get this perspective right. I'm just gonna do it without the guidelines. See if that helps a little bit more. Yeah, it did. Fun. And she had like wooden floors too, didn't she? If I remember correctly. It's like posting comics and posting any kind of art on the internet is very, very intimidating because it's like, you know, you're kind of putting your heart on their sleeve when you're an artist, right? Because a lot of people just like to critique for no reason, right? And sometimes that critique isn't even good. It's just like, you know, oh, this is weird. You know, and it's like you kind of got to live with that. Sometimes people make weird comments, right? And you kind of got to live with that too. But if you enjoy it, it's so rewarding. It's so much fun. All right, like I have a very very small community when it comes to my readers, and like I'm grateful for each and one of them, right? Each and every one of them, right? Because they're all really nice. Wise words, thanks. Looking good, thanks. All right, we got about 17-ish minutes left. I could probably add a little bit more detail because I went a little bit quick with this. But yeah, Daisy, my main character here, she's like high priority, right? She's the main character in focus. Harkening back to the past live stream that we did, right, with composition, she's also within the rule of thirds, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So she's kind of on this pinpoint here, right? If you cut your whole composition into a 3x3 grid, your main center focus should generally be on one of those intersecting points, right? Stuff like that. I saw your drawing close on character stream. You like Genshin? I don't. I don't know anything about Genshin. Venti was just requested. I know Genshin characters because I have a lot of friends who like Genshin, but I don't play Genshin myself. I'm sorry. um. Oh. Oh what? No 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 no! Don't. It's fine. It's fine. Let's see. Let's make a new file, a layer then. Just gonna... Ah! Excellent. And my excitement without art grammar, I understand. Yeah, no, I only know the characters. I don't know much about, like, the actual game itself. I know that there's a speech bubble tool, apparently, but I didn't download that. So, we're gonna do this the old-fashioned way. Oh, really? I love it. Yeah, I know a lot of my friends love Genshin. I know I can't play it. The only reason why is because I know that I like the character designs a lot, and if I get obsessed with it, I need to focus. Like I can't handle more video games right now. As much as I love video games, I can't handle drawing, or like I have so much to do. I just can't. You know what I mean? um the two games that I currently play just like for when I have free time is I go back to my Animal Crossing island or I play Minecraft. Right, those are the two that I kind of decompress with. Genshin's also partially a gacha, and I know that I can't handle having a gacha because I don't have any self-control, and I will end up like spending way too much on it if I get obsessed with any characters, you know. It's like it's not a good idea for me. Like Kirby, yes. I like some Kirby, like the newer Kirby games are really, really easy. I ended up finishing I finished Star Allies within 6 hours, and it was like, you know, how many layers do I use? One, two, three, four so far. It depends on the thing, right? So, this one, I believe. Hang on, let's see a like the most amount of layers that I'll use is usually like a large amount of layers for me is like 15 layers because I don't like using a lot of them. Yeah, it makes you really avoid it. Yeah, no, I am avoiding it. Usually this is around the amount of layers that I tend to use, right? Unless if I'm really, really serious about what I'm drawing, it's like, oops, reference a layer. Thank you. Unless if I'm like super, super serious about what I'm drawing, most of the time I just like use a very small amount of them. Hello? Thank you. There we go. Now I can kind of conjoin these two. Alright, so I'm kind of covering up areas that I feel are slightly lower priority, but I also have to keep in mind the flow of where the eyes are going, right? So I'm kind of starting from the top up here and then flowing downwards, right? This is a low priority area, and I would put a speech bubble here, but then it kind of doesn't flow quite as well, right? So like what I could do is have them go all across here, but then it leaves a super giant empty space up here. What I could put down here is another thing in the foreground, as like another foreground element to help kind of cover this up a little bit more. But you know, it's kind of like pick your poison. I bet you'd get obsessed with Song Li. I do like Song Li. I think my favorite design is still Xiao though. I really like Xiao a lot. Um Song Li's alright. I mean, I just like his hair. I like the dragon part of him. That's one of the same. The amount of layers I use is 3 or 4. I'll only use 3 or 4 layers if it's a painting. Like, generally 3 or 4 layers is like if it's a painting or if I don't take it super, super seriously. If it's like something that I'm really taking seriously, it's like 15-ish layers, 15 to 20-ish layers. Just because, like, I have a lot of things that I need to separate. I separate very little compared to other artists that I know. But yeah, no, it's like the only time I'll use like 15 or so layers is if it's really intricate. I have a lot to keep track of. So from here on out, I would put in a script, and I don't know what I'd put in here, though. That's the thing. I don't... Can it read? Ah, so it doesn't read my own... I didn't prep this. I probably should have. Ah, I see. So normally what I would do... So this is MediBang's text tool. What is the maximum amount of layers you've ever used? I think the most amount of layers I've used was 50, something like that, 50 or 60. I think that was for a really, really big background piece, but I don't remember exactly what I did. So I have to go do some French, but I'll for sure come back later to watch this over. Alright, thanks for joining. So this is MediBang's text tool, right? You kind of got to edit it all in this window. Whoops. You double click it to change it. I'm not a huge fan of that. It's why I just kind of always prefer to use it in, like, another window. I also have to log in to use other fonts. Man. Restore previous settings. Yeah, okay. I figured. Okay. We're all here for the true blue Jessie process. Yeah, me just kind of figuring stuff out. Italic, align. Nope, center line. You always want to center align. Yeah, because it doesn't have my fonts that I usually use. Man, that's kind of annoying. I gotta stick in MediBang though. I would switch over to Photoshop, but like I can't do that. Okay. Here's the thing though, is I'm not great at writing stuff on stream. Or like when people are watching me. You know what I'm gonna do then? I'll add the words after stream because I am not good at writing right when people are watching me. It's the one thing that I can't do. The one thing I can't do is illustrate while people are watching me. Or write when people are watching me. So I'll just continue to add a few extra details that I purposefully left out, because I didn't think I'd have some time left, but here we are. So let's just go ahead and clean up some of this, so we can reach our 6 o'clock time. But yeah, if you join the Discord, you'll be able to see what she's saying. Yeah, my true process is me kind of going like, well, I don't know that I could do this, right? Just kind of figuring it out. That's how digital art goes, right? Sometimes you're just kind of like, huh. I literally learned like last week that Photoshop had a rastered line option. I was like, what? I can draw lines like this? I didn't know that. That's kind of a lot of what digital art is. It's just kind of poking around, figuring stuff out. It's like I may be pretty alright at it, but doesn't mean I know everything. Right, my process is very messy and kind of figuring stuff out slowly. I've been here for a lot longer than I originally planned. This is great. Oh, thank you for staying. Oh yeah, I had posters here too. She had a cork board, right? Oh, I closed that file. Whoopsies. Right? She had a, yeah, she has a cork board there. That's what I figured. Jessie streams are the best. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay. Yeah, because I left out a few things I didn't think I'd have time for, so... Now we do have time, because I've decided to write afterwards. Because I'm no good at writing when people are watching me. I've learned that, like, even when I'm teaching classes, like, sometimes I'll be like, okay, I'll be, like, working on a page before a class starts, and I'm like, okay, I need to write this in, and then, like, I know the other students are there, and I'm like, never mind, I'll write it afterwards. It's always been like that for some reason. I don't like writing in front of people. It doesn't matter what it is. It's like I'll be sitting there and I don't like... Because I used to type out stories more so than I did draw them. Because I used to be a very avid writer when I was a kid. In terms of like just typing. I would open up a Word document and just start typing out my stories, you know? But Even then, I hated writing in front of people. It would always be like I'd be in like a corner and I'd be writing there. On the other hand, I would let everybody watch when I was drawing. It's just when I was writing, because I'd have to constantly sit there and think, and I don't want people seeing my creative process in terms of that. Bye! Thanks for joining, Nick Boy. You can do it, thank you. I'll be doing it after, when people aren't watching me. But thank you for popping in. I tend to pull blanks when... And then, like, I get upset about how I write. Because it's like, when you're writing comics or writing anything, you need to make sure that your conversation feels natural, right? It's like everybody has different nuances of speech when they talk, right? And, like, you kind of have to figure that out and stuff. You know, it doesn't have to be exaggerated, it's just got to be kind of noticeable. I'm very picky about that sort of stuff, I suppose. And then, like, I have to constantly rewrite and fix stuff, and I'm like, I don't want people watching me do that. But you can watch me mess around in MediBang, though. That one you can see me kind of fumble around in a lot. Yeah. Didn't she have... She had lights on her ceiling, too, but I didn't draw those in with this. Oh, she has paper stuff here. Well, it's not visible anyway, it doesn't matter. Oh. I did the headboard wrong. I just realized. Don't know how to draw my own designs. Great. This is why we need references, even if it's your own design. Yeah, this feels a little bit too two-dimensional, so I'm going to fix this a smidge. Any tips for translating a hand-drawn comic into digital form? Well, there's a couple things that you can do for that, right? Because some people, everybody has different processes when it comes to that. Right, because some people like to line it traditionally, and then they go in and edit stuff digitally. I know some comic artists do like 90% of their comic, like traditionally. They just scan it in and then edit it, tweak it a little bit in Photoshop and stuff like that. There's one comic that I read a while ago, and she did all her lining and all of her coloring, quote unquote, because all she did was ink wash. And she did her ink washing and stuff traditionally, and then she scanned it in. And then just did a bit of lighting correction and stuff like that in Photoshop afterwards. Right? But some people do it where they sketch it and then they do everything else digitally, or they just line it and they do everything digitally, right? So it all depends on like your process. If you're working with a sketch, I think that's the easiest thing for you to do, right? Because it's like you sketch it traditionally and then you can just do everything else. You scan it in, do a process on, and then like do the rest of the process digitally. It gets a little bit trickier when you line it, because then you have to worry about separating your line work, because when you scan it in, it's not a PNG, right? It's like you have your line work that's still as like a flat image along with your color, or like the white on the background, and that can be kind of hard to deal with. So that can be a bit tricky as well. Now that I've finished it, I think I want to move these actually, because it might be better. Let's do this again. Sometimes I want to change stuff too. That's too high. Normally I'd plan out like what she's saying too. I'm just gonna have to worry about fitting it all in here. Could do it so it crosses a little more down here. Yeah, and then I could have a third one over here-ish. Normally there would be another panel kind of over here so it doesn't feel so choked. Okay. But yeah, so like I like it's not everybody has a scanner either, so like it's ideal to scan it in on like a scanner or computer or something like that. But you know, usually a photo does the trick, right? You just gotta edit it. You gotta have a good editor, a good photo editor. Um, but yeah, just know that like traditional to digital is the normal way you do it. Some people go like strictly digital, right? They just like some people go strictly digital, some people go strictly traditional, right? But translating from traditional to digital is usually how it's done, like within an industry or whatever. Usually it's like sketched traditionally and then it's just sent off and stuff like that, right? To the editors and whatever. It's gonna cause a tangent. It's better if I have it a little bit higher. Yeah. A lot of comic art is trial and error. I promise. It's just a lot of kind of going back and forth and figuring stuff out. Taking a step back, figuring out what you're doing. Alright. So like I said, I'm probably gonna do the text afterwards, so that means that I'm gonna, you know, figure out everything else after the fact. Right? And if you'd like to see the finished product, be sure to check out our Discord channel, which is where you can download this image along with, you know, the original one over here, right? With all my lesson-y portion of the whole thing, right? So that's where you can check out all of our stuff on our Discord to download all the files. But if you'd like the working files, then be sure to check out our Patreon, right? So you can check out all my layers, even though I don't have that many. You can check out my layers and you can check out some behind the scenes stuff as well, and also get some behind the scenes extra stuff that will be posted up there as well. And you can also get a discount for our classes because if you didn't know, we are also an art school. So I am one of the instructors. Lovely Faye is also one of the instructors, and Yuri, who was in here earlier, as well as one of the instructors as well. So if you'd like to check out any of our classes, be sure to do that. But yeah, thanks so much for joining, everyone. This one was really really fun. Next week we are going to be talking a bit about blending. So we'll be talking about how to blend in and shade within a digital program, right? Because I know a lot of people wanted to have some blending tips, right? Learning how to blend colors and whatever. So we'll be talking a bit about that and some techniques that I like, and some techniques that I see around, right? And some things to avoid just in general. But yeah, thanks so much for joining, everyone. This is awesome. Thanks. Of course, I'm glad to have done it for you. And I'll see you guys next week, same time, same place. Bye bye.